This video is for anyone that's curious about the natural laws of the universe and how it relates to them and the karma that they endure. The Seven Hermetic Principles. What are the Seven Hermetic Principles? All right, so the Seven Hermetic Principles, they're ancient. It's ancient knowledge, ancient principles that come back from ancient Greece and ancient Egypt. These are laws, natural laws that have been known about for many years, throughout fucking eons of time. Laws that have been hidden away, that have been occulted, that means hidden, or in other words, hermetically sealed. The word hermetic means to be sealed up, much like occult. The word occult, again, it means to be hidden. It has to do with knowledge, spiritual knowledge that has been hidden throughout the years, mainly to keep it from falling into the wrong hands, whatever the fuck that means. I don't fucking know. I don't get it, because obviously this knowledge has already been in the wrong fucking hands, and that's why humanity is in the situation it's in, for better or worse. I guess it depends on how you want to look at it, right? Because it's all a learning lesson, and it's the obstacles, the challenges that we face that we have to overcome that make us stronger, that make us learn and grow as human beings and as God incarnate. And that's what this discussion's about, is learning the laws, the natural laws of the universe, and how that karma is brought into your life. So what are these natural laws of the universe? What am I talking about? All right, so we have seven principles, the Seven Hermetic Principles, all right? The first principle is the principle of mentalism. All is mind, the universe is mental. So what does that mean? What is God? All is mind, the universe is mental. What does that mean? All right, so let's break this down, all right? So all is mind, the universe is mental. The universe is like a giant mind. That's what the universe is. Everything is energy. That's everything. Every atom, everything is made up of energy. This energy is thought. That's the core of everything. Is thought, is energy. And so ultimately, God is this giant mind. We are to quote the Kabbalion, you are dwelling within the infinite mind of the all. And your possibilities and opportunities are infinite, both in time and space. Did you catch the first part? You are dwelling within the infinite mind of the all. All right, so that's where you are. Is the all is in the mind of the all. The all is everything. You can't. The all meaning all of everything, because we're talking about God here. We're talking about one consciousness. All right, the law of one. We're talking about the fact that everything is contained within the all, and this all is mind. All right, so it's like a hologram. All right, if you go to quantum physics, now there are people, scientists. There are scientists on both sides, the spiritual side and the atheist side. All right, the atheist side will tell you that you're just living in some type of computer simulation, and God knows who the fuck created that. Well, there is no God in their perspective, but who fuck created that? I don't fucking know. But ultimately, if you go back on the spiritual side, you'll realize that you are living in essentially what's similar to a computer simulation, only it's not really a simulation like the fucking Sims or something. It's literally the mind of God. And so everything within here, I mean, that's ultimately what it comes down to as far as spirituality goes, is that everything is one. So beyond just the fact that the universe is literally the mind of God, the principle of mentalism also stems back to yourself, and how you relate to all that, and the fact is that your thoughts come first. All right, your thoughts generate emotions, and together your thoughts and emotions generate the actions that you take on a day-to-day basis. And so ultimately it comes back to controlling our thoughts, to understanding to analyzing, and just ultimately understanding what we're thinking about on a day-to-day basis. A lot of times meditation really helps with this. It can really clear the mind, and really get one to really see, understand what they're actually thinking. And ultimately, the mind itself has three parts to it. There's the conscious mind, the subconscious or unconscious mind, and then there's the collective unconscious. Right? The collective unconscious is the fact that we're all connected, that our subconscious mind, that our unconscious mind, it's connected with the subconscious of everyone else. That everything is just stems from mental energy. That's the basis of everything. That's ultimately what it is. There's two parts to the principle of mentalism. There's the fact that everything is one subset reality of thought, and there's the fact that you yourself are an individuated aspect of this with your own thoughts, and unconsciously, the thoughts of everyone are all together in like a collective soup because it's all one. So principle number 2, the principle of correspondence. All right, as above, so below; as below, so above; as within, so without; as without, so within. Maybe you've heard this saying before, maybe you haven't. The fact of the matter is, what it truly means is that there is a corresponding relationship between you and the universe at large, between every person, myself and every person in the universe, the things that we each experience in this world, in this game called life, and the reality, which is really more our perceptions. I mean, there's an overall collective reality that we all build upon by our collective unconscious, by collectively all the things that we each believe that make up everything. But individually, the things that we each experience within our lives are largely based upon our own perceptions of things. And the fact that the universe is literally a mirror in many ways. It's a hologram. It's mirroring back to you all the things that you are. Everything that you're putting out there is coming back to you in some way or another. Whether you realize this or not, but the more that you can be adept to it and contemplate it, the more you can understand who you are, and you can make better decisions in your life, bring better things into your life, because you're on a much more positive perspective of yourself and the world around you. Principle number 3 is the principle of vibration. Everything vibrates, nothing rests. There is no such thing as true solidity. Even things seem perfectly still, they're all vibrating. The atoms are vibrating. Everything is in constant vibration, and that not only includes the physical part of reality, but your mental and your emotional states as well. Everything is a constant state of vibration. And so Dr. David Hawkins actually did a bunch of research on this and did experiments with people testing their muscles and how well their muscles worked, when they're thinking positive thoughts and negative thoughts and whatnot. And he actually put this on a scale, on a logarithmic scale. But basically what it comes down to is at the lower end of the scale, you have very dense emotions like fear, guilt, and shame. And then on the higher end of the scale, you have more empathetic emotions, stretching up to love and to eventually enlightenment. And then the middle point, the base point, is ultimately courage. The courage to step beyond all the bullshit and take responsibility for yourself and your life and how you feel about yourself and the world, and make something better from that, transmute that energy, that negative energy, into something better, something positive. And then ultimately, the more that the things are going to come into your life, people are going to come into your life, or things are going to leave your life. It really all just depends on mostly on where you are vibrationally on a regular basis. If you're really stuck in a lot of the fear and guilt and shame, you're going to have more shitty shit brought into your life. But if you vibrate more on compassion and love and empathy, then you're going to have a much more you're going to have a better experience, because better things are going to come into your life, because you're feeling that you're on that same vibration, on the same wavelength. If you're on a wavelength that's really choppy like that, you're never going to be able to blend with something that's more smooth and whatnot. It's just going to bring back the choppiness in your life, if you get that metaphor. The fact of the matter is, things surround themselves with like things, like and like, or whatever, they go together. The fourth principle is the principle of polarity. Polarity is essentially The understanding that everything has two halves. Every coin has two sides. Every stick has two ends. You can't have cold without hot or hot without cold. You can't have good without bad or bad without good. In fact, good and bad are ultimately just a perception. Just perception. It's just a value judgment that we place on things, because you might think something is good, someone else might think it's bad, and vice versa. The most important is that we don't cause harm to one another. Ultimately, I mean, ultimately everything is one. Everything is one, and that when we cause harm to something, we're causing harm to ourselves, because we're part of that. And then it comes back to us in the way of karma, because we're disrupting our system. Polarity is seeing everything in its whole state as being necessary, not as opposed to seeing everything as divisive, as being us or them, black and white. That's division, that is separation, and that is duality. All right. So duality is to say this has to be good and this has to be bad, or this has to be black and this has to be white, when really, ultimately, everything just is as it is. Polarity is to understand the necessity of everything being whole and perfect as it is, as rather than seeing everything as having to be good or having to be bad and then judging them accordingly. We can step back and understand that these things, all these lessons that we go through and all this bullshit, whatever, ultimately there's a higher purpose to it. And so the more that we can understand that, the more that we can work through our triggers and be better people, and come to the understanding that everything, because everything is a polarity, everything is whole, as opposed to being dualism and separate. And the fact, going back to the principle of mentalism, because all these principles stack on one another, everything is God. Everything is perfect and whole as it is. The only separation from that is your ego, is the perception that your ego has. All right. So ultimately, your ego is the fucking devil. That's what I'm saying here. That God is everything. There is no other external being, ex-angel that was like the devil or whatever. That's a metaphor for your ego wanting to be prideful and separate itself from the beauty and the old, from the holism, from the all that is. All right, that's what that is. All right. The fifth principle is the principle of rhythm. Everything has its tides. Everything has its rises and falls. Everything has its ebbs and flows. Now, if you notice in your own life, I'm sure there's been many times that you've had great days and everything's been going fucking hunky-dory, all fucking smooth, and then boom, you get smacked down, and you get a bad day, or you have a bad month, you even have a bad fucking year. I don't know. I mean, we all go through all these things. Sometimes life's really good and sometimes it's not. And that's not only in our own personal lives, but as societies, various countries, they rise and they fall, governments, cultures, fads, that's just the way of everything. And ultimately, just like society and your own personal life, so is just the nature of humanity and how we are in this world. And the fact that there's periods of enlightenment, and then there's periods of fucking darkness, and we go through these trials and tribulations ultimately to build us up, to learn and grow in life. But you gotta learn the lesson, and then you live the lesson, and then you learn another lesson, and then you live that lesson, and then the cycle repeats. You learn some more, and then you figure out what you need to do, and then you build a better life, and then you learn some more, and you figure out what you got to do, and you build a better life. But ultimately, the more that we can understand these cycles, and the more that we can understand ourselves and how our mental and emotional states and how they are affecting our surroundings and how they affect what gets brought into our life, and the more that we can just have an understanding of this, the more that we can truly rise above all the negative shit, because we've worked through that, we've overcome it, we've seen it for what it is, we understand that they're just life challenges that are going to make us better and stronger, so we have a much easier time working through them rather than being fucking victims and laying down for them or whatever, you know. So the more that you can have an understanding of how you are and your mental emotional states, the more that you can rise above and polarize yourself at higher swings of the pendulum. Now, principle number 6 is the principle of cause and effect. All right, that's ultimately what a lot of this is about. It's like the crux is what I'm talking about is karma. All right, cause and effect. We're not just talking about Newtonian fucking physics here. All right, we're talking about your mental and emotional states and how your mental states, and from that your emotions. Ultimately, your emotions are really where it gets mustered up, really intent, where it gets more intense. But your mental states are where it starts. So ultimately, your mental states, that's the cause. All right, that's the causal plane is your mind, and that goes back to the principle of mentalism. The causal plane is your mind, is your mental state of being, and from that your emotional state of being. And from that we get your day-to-day fucking behaviors, your actions. The more that you can step back and analyze yourself and work through your triggers and overcome all the mental fucking chaos that's holding you back, the more that you can be at peace with yourself and the world, the more that you're going to have much better effects brought into your life, because it's your mind, your mental and emotional state that is the cause of whatever effect is being brought into your life, or whatever, just in general, as far as personally and collectively, as far as society goes. But in general, going back to the principle of vibration, the more you can raise your vibration, the more that you can work through your triggers, and the more happiness you can bring into your life through better emotional states, the more you're going to be surrounded by people and in a whole fucking world that is in a better emotional state. In fact, that's a lot of what the fifth fucking dimension is, the whole New Earth thing, is people collectively in general raising their vibration so that they can be in a new world, be in a new new world. I mean, that's ultimately, it's not actually going anywhere, as far as like ascension is not about actually leaving this physical plane and going somewhere else per se. It's the fact that in quantum physics the world is splitting every fucking nanosecond. It's a plank. A plank is the smallest measurement ever in anything. Right? It's called a plank, and a plank in time, every fucking plank is like your life. Think of your life as a flip book, all right? And every page is a different plank of time. And the more that you elevate your vibration, the more it's like your choose your own adventure book. Remember those when you were kids? The more you elevate your vibration, the more you're flipping on to other books, other chapters that are in positive vibrations. And the more, same thing if you're dwelling in the fucking negative, the more you're going to flip onto books that are more in the negative. It's ultimately, you're standing on the same fucking ground, but you're going to wake up and you're going to be in a different fucking world because your vibration changed. But ultimately that steps back, goes back to what's causing that is your mental and emotional states. So you get that right, and everything else is hunky-dory. So the seventh principle in Hermetic Principles, the seventh principle is the principle of gender. What do I mean by this? All right, now boys have a penis and girls have a vagina. Everyone knows that's a fact. All right, The fact of the matter is, though, we're talking about gender in the mental type of state. All right, now there's two genders. There's only two genders here, folks. There's the passive side and there's the active side. There's the intellectual side, and then there's the intuitive side. All right, you have the masculine is ultimately the masculine is going to be is the provider, and the feminine is more the nurturer. That's not to say that men can't nurture and women can't provide, because I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that it's a binary system where the feminine aspect, all right, is going to be more nurturing and more intuitive and more life-giving, and the masculine aspect is going to be more assertive, more directional, more intellectual, more. It's the one that charts the path, all right. And the feminine aspect is the one that fills the path, all right. It's the creative aspect as opposed to the structural aspect, all right. It can't get more clear than that. You have a binary system. It's yin and yang, all right. You have the structure, and then you have the creativeness, all right. Now, on the mental states, you can look at it like this: is the left hemisphere of the brain being the more intellectual, path charting aspect, all right, and the feminine aspect of the brain being the more intuitive, creative aspect, all right. You can also look at it like this, as far as the mind and the heart working together. The mind, the mental aspect is the masculine aspect, and the heart, the emotional aspect, is the feminine aspect. And then when both hemispheres are working together in conjunction with the heart, that's true holism, and ultimately that goes back to the feminine aspect, because the feminine aspect is holism, as opposed to just being straight logical, which would be the masculine aspect. So the more that we can have both hemispheres working together in synchronicity in conjunction with the heart, the more holistic we will be. And the more holistic we are, the less we're going to be divided within ourselves. And therefore, the better we're going to be able to relate to ourselves and to everything around us, the higher our vibration is going to be, because we got this. We integrated both aspects of this within ourselves. And that's the thing, is that there is masculine and femininity within every person. Just typically, men are more dominant on the masculine, and females are typically more dominant on the feminine. Doesn't mean that we can't cross one way or the other, but the fact of the matter is, there are those two definitions. There are those two separations. It's not like you walk out and you see a fucking flower or a fucking mesquite tree here, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a fucking mesquite tree. That's my fucking gender. I'm a fucking mesquite tree. It's just that typically men are going to be more polarized on the masculine side, and females are typically more polarized on the feminine side. Doesn't mean that's necessarily the case. There are plenty of gay men that are very feminine, and plenty of dykey females that are very masculine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. But in general, that most men are going to be more masculine, most females are going to be more feminine, and in general, if you are a guy who's heterosexual, you're going to want to polarize yourself on the more masculine. That's going to make it a lot easier for you to find a female that's more polarized on the feminine. If you're a man and you're straight, if you're feminine, you're going to find that you're going to get more girls that are straight, that are masculine, who are going to fucking dominate you. And that's what happened to me through a lot of my life, or whatever. That's a lot of things I've been working through. But ultimately, it's all personal preference, you know. I mean, if you're a gay man who's very feminine, then it probably makes sense to find another guy who's very masculine. Or if you're same thing with the women, you know. I mean, it's all personal preference, and I ain't knocking any of it. All I'm saying is that there are two genders. It's a binary system. That it's yin and yang. It's it's either intuitive or intellectual. It's either directional or it's creative, or rather it's structural or creative, directional or curvy. I mean, it's there are two different aspects of this, that the more that we integrate within ourselves, in whatever way that is preferable to us, the more that we're going to have a better experience. And that's all it really comes down to. And that's all I'm saying here. So with all due respect, if you got issues with it being with gender being a binary system, maybe you should see a therapist. Not trying to be rude, not saying that there's like something that's like seriously fucking wrong with you and you're a piece of shit. I'm not saying that at all. There's nothing wrong with therapy. I've had therapy. We've all had therapy. Many people have had therapy. But if you think that there's anything more than two genders, that's probably where you should be. Just saying. And lastly, I want to let y'all know that I am an artist, even though I haven't been making videos about making art. I did an art series on this specific topic, the 7 Hermetic Principles. So that's what you're looking at through part of this video is my art. And so I just want to invite you to my website. It's arthurbradfordk.com. It's Arthur Bradford and the letter K.com. Much love. Have a fucking wonderful day. Much love. Peace.